Hello everyone, welcome to my tutorial on Java. Today's tutorial I'm going to continue my discussion on Java generics, and I'm going to talk about bounded type. So there may be times when you want to restrict the types that can be used as type arguments in a parameterized type. For example, a method that operates on numbers might only want to accept instances of number of its classes. So now let's get into the code and things will be more clear. You can see that I have defined a class generic03 of a generic type because I'm using a parameter over here which is a type t, and this is extending number. So this is important here. Here I am bounding my type to be of number. That means I cannot accept any parameter other than the number and its subclasses. Let's say I put a string, then it will give me a compile error. Okay, that means it's telling that hey, this generic type is of number type and you can only accept, or you can only provide the number and its subclasses. Okay, so now here I have defined an array and I have this constructor generic03 which is accepting an array, and then I'm trying to figure out the average of the array. Okay, this is very simple. I am iterating through the array and then I'm making up the sum of the total and then dividing the sum by the number of the length of the array. Okay, so now I have the client over here, and if I go over here you can see that I have defined an array, and then I have created a new reference z3 and instantiated it and provide the constructor with, or invoke the constructor with this array, right? If you click on here, and you can see that the constructor is accepting an array. Okay, so this is what I have provided. Now you can see that I have put the number here, and if I'm going to put a string, then you can see immediately there is a compile error and it's telling that cannot infer type arguments for generics, bound mismatch. Okay, and the type string is not valid. Substitute for the bounded parameter t extends number. So that means we have to always provide what? We have to always provide the number type or its subclasses. Okay, now let's get it back what it was, and I'm going to save it, and if I'm going to run the client, you can see that run as Java application, and you can see the average is this one. So I have another example for you for the bounded operation, and if we go here you can see that there is another method, and this is a public t extends. So this one is starting here and ending here, this type definition, and I'm saying that the t extends comparable t. So this is my bounded class, that the comparable. Okay, and then I am returning an integer, and this is the method name, and this is the arguments that I'm going to accept. I'm going to accept an array of type t, and I'm taking another element of type t, and I'm comparing the two numbers, and if these numbers are equal then it's going to be 1. So the compare to method is comparing two numbers, and if the number is equal, or if something is equal, it will give me 1. Okay, and whenever that is 1, I'm increasing the count, and then I'm returning that how many numbers in the array are greater than this number. Okay, again, how many numbers in this array is greater than the number that I have provided. Okay, and this is my bounded type, because this compare to, okay, to compare to two objects, you need to have what? You need to have the comparable type, and that is why I'm extending my type to comparable. So now let's look into the client, and you can see that I'm passing on the array and the element, and then these are comparing, and I'm getting the number of items greater than 10 is equals to 2. That is what you can see. Okay, so again, the bounded type purpose is to restrict your type so that the specific type can be used only. Okay, so next let's move on to the next example, and I'm going to show you that how we are going to use the multiple types and how I'm going to use those multiple types in a method. So here is a generic class, and I have used two types, so that means I'm going to take two parameters or two types, and this is key and this is the value. So if you look at the notation here, that whenever I'm using the k and the v, so these are the purpose of this. Okay, so this is my constructor, and I'm taking key as k type and value as type v that I have defined over here, and then there are the setter methods, set key and get key, so the setter and getter methods. Okay, and I have my client is this one. Okay, and you can see that I have instantiated generic 04 with type integer and a string, and I've created a reference of p1, and then I have created I have invoked the constructor with a number and a string. Okay, with a number and a string, and then I have created the second one with a number and a string, and then I'm passing on the parameters with a number and a string. Okay, and then I'm comparing it. I'm passing these two references to compare. So let's move on to the compare method that I have created, and you can see that I have accepted the parameters like this, the generic type parameters, generics 04, which is going to have two types, key and value, and then this is my reference, and this is my reference, and again this is my generic type definition, and then I am comparing. The comparison is just same as we do comparison for some other classes, and then it's returning me the value. So let's run it, and then this is returning false. Of course, Apple is not like Pierce, but this is just to show you the code. Okay, so that's all for today's tutorial on the bounded type and the methods for using the generic types. Thank you.